Buckle up, because this is going to be a real good one. Hello, my friend. Perez Hilton here, the queen of all media, the original influencer, 21 years strong, and your #1 source for everything It Ends With Us saga. As I previously told you, ball-busting Blake requested more protection for her celebrity friends. She wants an attorney's eyes only designation, and her lawyers have submitted paperwork saying that that is warranted and standard in cases like this. Baldoni's lawyers claimed that this is not necessary and that the standard protective order that they already agreed to is enough. The judge ordered both parties to hash it out. They couldn't. So the virtual hearing was held today. It lasted about 70 minutes, and neither Baldoni nor the yummy chanteuse were there. Blake Heard is worried about some texts getting out there between her and her high-profile friends. And not just Taylor Swift, there are many other players involved for her and her husband, because Ryan Reynolds is also named in this lawsuit. Taylor Swift, but also Hugh Jackman, Emily Blunt, Gigi Hadid, a lot of A-listers and B-listers. And a lawyer for Team Delulu says there is a significant chance of irreparable harm if marginal conversations with high-profile individuals with no relevance to the case were to fall into wrong hands. Well, I would argue, and so would his lawyer, I think, that Taylor Swift's communications with her former dragon keeper are of high interest and relevancy to this case. The plantation princess herself repeatedly talked publicly about what an important role Taylor played in the creative process. There is video of her talking about that. The parties in this case, says a lawyer for Team Delulu, on both sides include people whose entire living is made off providing information to the press and content creators. There are 100 million reasons for these parties to leak information because the PR value is greater than complying with the court's orders. However, Brian Friedman, the lead attorney for Justin Baldoni, who's also my lawyer and has not given me anything here at all, not once, but taken my money in the past, a lot of it. Brian Friedman, his lawyer, says that it is offensive that anyone would suggest that we would disregard a protective order. Friedman does not think an attorney's eyes only designation is necessary. Friedman argued that Lively and Reynolds' plan would unjustly treat celebrity people and people who are powerful in the industry different from other people. A so-called model protective order already submitted to the court to bar the public dissemination of sensitive information provides sufficient protection, Friedman argued. And he reiterated, quote, "No one has any intent of harming Miss Lively in any way. However," he added, "my clients have a right to defend themselves. That is in no way abusing the victim." Judge Lyman said that he is very aware of how all of this is playing out in the media. And Judge Lyman pointed out that both sides have alleged that the other has leaked confidential information that are difficult to trace. Friedman made a point of arguing that Lively and Reynolds were seeking to have the law bend to their desires, not necessarily the needs of justice. And justice is transparent, the judge said. Judge Lyman did not immediately rule today. He told both sides, "I'll give you my views soon," but He added that the case has garnered significant public interest. And he says, quote, there is a presumption of public access in federal courthouses. The judge revealed, much of this information will become public as the case goes forward. For example, in motions for summary judgment, and of course at trial, there is a public interest in how the courts are being used that the court has to respect. In a statement after today's hearing where the judge did not make a ruling, a rep for the Princess of Evidenceless says, or should that be evidencelessness? I think both work, whatever. The Princess of Evidenceless. A rep for her says, quote, all of the parties agree that there is sensitive information in this case that should be shielded from public disclosure. The Wayfarer party's proposed order would do that. The dispute is about whether a narrow category of already non-public information should be accessible only to attorneys rather than the parties. That type of provision is standard in civil cases, including in litigation in which Brian Friedman appeared as counsel. This additional protection would ensure that the defendants who have committed to spending $100 million to destroying Miss Lively and her family do not have access to information that only attorneys need to see. And there were a lot of attorneys on the virtual hearing today, including lawyers for her publicist, Leslie Sloan, lawyers also for Stephanie Jones. Remember her? We don't talk enough about that lawsuit. Stephanie Jones is Justin Baldoni's former publicist. She is suing Baldoni, Wayfarer, and execs for defamation and breach of contract. His current publicist, Jen Abel, used to work for Stephanie Jones. The judge has already shot down some of her previous requests in subpoenas against Baldoni and his parties. And based on what he said in today's hearing, it seems like Judge Lyman might err on the side of more transparency than not. And in the hearing today, Judge Lyman said that the battle that is happening is a feud between PR firms. And perhaps the funniest moment in the virtual hearing was when Sigrid McCauley, representing Leslie Sloan, her publicist, said, "This is a unique case, certainly." And also another reminder, Leslie Sloan is trying to get herself removed from this lawsuit, as is the New York Times. This saga has so many moving pieces and lots of TBD factors. So we are waiting now for the judge to rule on the attorney's eyes only extra protection request, on the dismissal request from the Times, the dismissal request from Leslie Sloan. And I really hope that this continues because I'm loving it. And I do think that the Betty Boo's boss is so worried because, as we've already seen, she loves to text. She's the queen of oversharing, and we got to thank her for that. All right, my friend, thoughts on everything that we've discussed now? Let's get into it in the comments section.